Hey everybody, this is Splurge bringing you ICBA Season 5, Week 1. This is very slightly late, I apologise in advance, but we should be back on target now from now on. So, Week 1, we play Willie of the Brisbane Scythers, who's got a terrifying team. It included such threats as the Broken Core that is a Landorus Eye, a Mega Charizard X and Tapu Koko, alongside such walls as Mandibuzz, Bronzong, amongst other things. This was not a nice matchup for either of us, I think, actually, because my team, caused a couple of issues. But so this is the prep that I actually brought. So what you see on the screen is a choice banded Sneasel, because I'm out here trying to make a statement that Sneasel is not bad, and this set is actually did a reasonable amount versus his team. It helped sort out Mandibuzz. It was priority for if I had Snorlax low, but it was getting out of hand in some way, shape or form. The low kick itself does huge amounts of damage to the Snorlax, and so it's speed creeping a creep of Mega Latias, and then has the rest chucked into HP. Actually no, it was speed creeping a speed creep of base 100, that's what it was. So the next one that we have is Suicune, running a Sub-Scald Raw Toxic set, max defensive. It's Fincoon. I mean, need I say more? It's there just to kind of phase out Megazord X if that becomes a bit of an issue, gets Toxics off, causes issues, and is bulky. We then get into the Terrain Core with Hawlucha running Grassy Seed, Swords Dance, High Jump Kick, Acrobatics U-Turn. My aim for this game was to actually use Hawlucha in a very slightly unconventional way, in that I wanted it to come out onto the field once or twice before I actually pop the seed, just to kind of get a little bit of momentum with U-turn, stuff like that. It was originally going to be Focus Sash, so that it could either set up or double set up into a Koko. But so I couldn't risk that due to I don't think I actually brought any hazard control on this team. Not sure, but I don't think I did. I was kind of reliant on Willie doing the hazard control thing for me. We then move into Tapu Bulu, which is running quite a Spadef set, so that it's my Koko answer for any sort of special Koko. It's running Nature's Madness, Leech Seed, Taunt, Stone Edge. This is also a pseudo kind of wheezing Bronzong Charizard lure counter, kind of just stops it from doing what it wants to do with the Taunt and the Stone Edge. We then have our Wish passing Mega Latias, which can come in quite handy. It kind of does what it says on the tin. It's quite bulky with 252 HP. And then finally we have Winterfell. Well, finally is Mega Latias. But so finally we do have Winterfell, our Palisand, running lefties, Stealth Rock, Shore Up, Earth Power, Shadow Ball. This thing gets hard walled by Mandibuzz, but pretty much it's just here to sit in front of Lando and in front of Koko and in front of Bronzong and set up Stealth Rocks and then get damage off. We're gonna switch into the battle now. So what we can see is that oh heck, this isn't big enough. Let me quickly sort this out for you. This is going to be on the fly. We're going to pull it. Oh heck. Okay. This may have just been a huge upset for the recording. I'm not sure. We'll wait and see. But so yeah, so here we see what Willie's brought, and so yeah, so he brings the Mandibuzz, the Megazord X, Weezing, Snorlax, Bronzong, and Tapu Koko. Something to note is I don't believe it's first turn Mega, but so I fully expected not Weezing and Snorlax to come. I seem to remember from the game, and so I was very much aware of the fact that so Snorlax can be a huge issue from one team if it starts setting curses up. Thankfully Suicune is also there. That's part of the reason why I brought Vincoon. So yeah, so I decided to lead Palossand, I believe, versus just to lead it. If Mandibuzz came in, I was fully expecting it to be Taunt, so I'd just hard switch out into Sneasel, I believe. If it went for the knockoff, then it was less than ideal, but I could work with it. And so what we see here is that so the Mandibuzz does lead, and I go immediately into the Sneasel, and the Mandibuzz does go for Taunt, which is all well and good. So we're going to quickly pause here for a second. So at this point, you would think, well, so we're in a situation here where you have Sneasel versus Mandibuzz. Sneasel is going to outspeed, so the logical thing is to go into something that doesn't get entirely demolished by a icicle crash. So thinking along these lines, I decided to go for the knockoff, because if he goes into Bronzong, that's huge damage onto it, and it puts me in a far better position. So what we see here is I go for the knockoff. So Mandibuzz stays in. All credit to Willie, really ballsy play, and actually, yeah, it does a number on my Sneasel. So it's kind of like, okay, well, I understand what's going to happen here. And so Koko comes out because it's the easy thing which pressures Sneasel. And so we're forced to switch again. Back into... Oh no, we're going to Bulu. I definitely know what's happening in this game. And I have the hiccups. Yeah, so we see that Koko goes for the U-turn. I kind of realise what's going on here in the fact that so actually I'm going to get pivoted about a lot in this game. And so Weezing comes out, and so again, the big thing is I don't want toxic spikes going down versus me this early in the game, because it just starts wearing away at my team. So I go for the taunts, just to be on the safe side. I wasn't really expecting him to be Sludge Bomb or something like that. But so Weezing reveals the Clear Smog, which is fine by me. We take it, not the best, but it's relatively comfortable. We can definitely take a second with Gross Terrain and Lefty's recovery. So we decide to switch back into Winterfell at this point, because now it should be a free turn to set up our Stealth Rocks. Because if you haven't got Rocks versus a Megazord, then you're gonna get blown back. And even with Rocks, it's still difficult not to get utterly destroyed. But yeah, so we set up the Stealth Rocks on the switch into Mandibuzz, and so once again, Mandibuzz just hardballs this. But so what we find out here is that actually Winterfell is quicker than... Oh no, Whirlwind. I went for the Stealth Rock again on the off chance that it went for a default. But so we get dragged into Sneasel, and you can see what happens here. And so again, I think, well, so he saw it first time, and so it's all into the mind games of, well, so if he's done it one time, he's not going to do it again, because that would be just suicide, and this is quite a crucial one to making sure that I don't go insane across his team. So I go for the knockoff again, and he stays in again. Extra ballsy play. And goes for the U-turn again. Full credit to him. Only this time he gets the crit. I mean, crits are crits, it's the game we play. I can't get too angry about it because I was trying to big brain my way through a game. But so we're now 6-5 in this game, and it's just less than nice. Oh, excuse me. Yeah, so I decided to go just straight for the substitute here versus the wheezing, because you never know what might be going on, and it may get a free substitute. So the wheezing reveals Thunderbolt, and that so it has probably got a little bit of special attack investment, I believe, to guarantee the break of the sub. And so we switch into Megalatias, which is something which comfortably threatens out the wheezing. And so I believe this is a free opportunity to go for a wish, as the Bronzong switches in. So we go for the wish because maintaining Tapu Bulu's HP now is actually quite critical, because it acts as a decent lure and something which kind of it does kind of blanketly well versus the rest of his team. So as you can see, we switched out back into Tapu Bulu for it to get the wish, as the Bronzong goes for a stealth rock of its own. Rocks are up on both sides. It's less than ideal, but you know, you just kind of work with what you got. I decided to go for the Leech Seed here to try and get back even more HP, as the Bronzong goes for a Toxic, which puts one of our more valuable Mons on a timer. I probably should have guessed that it was going to go for a Toxic, but so I'm somebody, I must confess that I'm somebody who wears their heart on their sleeve sometimes when I play, as whoever has kind of even heard me play in Call or anything can attest. And so I was a little bit thrown by the crit still, because Sneasel was quite valuable this game. But so I go for the Nature's Madness as Wheezing switches in. And so actually getting a Nature's Madness off onto Bronzong or Wheezing was good here. And so we switch into Winterfell as the Wheezing goes for the Toxic Spikes. And this is not an ideal position to be in, I must say. But so I decided to double out back into Suicune, as so actually this is trying to be quite tactical about what I do here, in that so I felt as if T-Spikes were here to stay at this point, and so the last thing I needed was Suicune to get fully toxic. If it was just poisoned, then it meant that it didn't have nearly as many of the issues as it may have had without reliable recovery just on its own mon. So we pick up the poison instead of the full toxic. We then go for a Scald, which nearly KOs the Wheezing, not quite, and it means that it gets a free Thunderbolt. And yeah, it does just over a quarter-ish. So yeah, it's not a brilliant position to be in. Thankfully we did get the burn, so the Wheezing is not staying another turn, but so it gives a free switch into Tapu Koko, which is now becoming progressively more and more of an issue for my team, and still only revealed U-turn. And so I switch into Tapu Bulu here, because actually I don't want to get the full toxic into Winterfell. But so the Tapu Koko goes for Defog. Now so this is something which, so there are 2 points in this game where so it shows that I've only been playing Wi-Fi properly and competitively for about 4 months now. In that, so I actually missed that it was Tapu Koko that defogged everything away. I saw that defog had popped off, I didn't see that who had defaulted it, so I automatically thought that it was Mandibuzz. For whatever reason, in my notes I put it down as Mandibuzz, which actually later in the game it means that I don't realise what the fourth move on Mandibuzz might be, which plays into the end game a bit, and the end game is another moment of I'm still learning, and yeah, so just thought I'd give you that. So Coco goes for the defog as we switch into Bulu, and so this should mean that we get another. I believe I just kind of lick the stamp and go for a Stone Edge here, on the possibility that Zarda's coming in, because hazards have just been defogged away. But so Bronzong switches in, and yeah, I do go for the Stone Edge, which reveals the coverage. It's a third move which he knows. Actually, no, he now knows the whole set for Bulu, and knows that if I'm going to be invested at all, I'll be physically invested, even though I'm not. And so he doubles back out into Mandibuzz here as I go for the taunt. So yeah, I think it was at this point that I kind of thought that it was defog, that Mandibuzz had defogged for whatever reason. But yeah, so Mandibuzz is back in, and so oh my word. And so I don't want to take Brave Bird, so I switch into the Winterfell as it goes for another U-turn. And so it's kind of interesting what might be switched in here. I'm not entirely sure. But so what we see is that Snorlax gets switched in. This is an issue, because this also now has a free turn to set up, and all it does is set up, and it goes for a belly drum. So this was a less than ideal circumstance to be found in. If this was belly drum rest, I was willing to call it game at this point. But so we go for the wish as Snorlax goes for crunch, takes out our Megalatias. Now, so this was an interesting sequence of moves, as so I bring out the Hawlucha here, and so because I'd wished, I was happy to just click the high jump kick, because if the Snorlax had protect, then I'd just get the wish straight back up to full. So this was a nice sequence of moves just to ensure that we cut Snorlax's time on the field back as much as possible. So we go for the second high jump kick, we land it as well, and we take Snorlax out. Bronzong comes in now. So we're managing to kind of slowly claw this game back slightly, but so we're not brilliant on HP at the moment. But so we go for a U-turn into Bronzong because it was just going to be a little bit of chip, it was nothing much. But so we get the chip onto Tapu Koko. Now so Koko versus a Hawlucha, if it's a +2 now, if it's a +2 I take out the Koko, which is something nice to know. But so it's just trying to maintain where we're at on kind of health levels to see if we can actually round out the game. So the Bronzong switches in as we go for Stealth Rocks, and so we go for a Shadow Ball to try and peck this thing down, so we can take we have it in a position where, so if we're able to set up Hawlucha properly sweeps. And so kind of this was now my end game plan, was actually we're now into the stages of we're just trying to put ourselves into a position where Hawlucha sweeps. The issue is that the 3 mons left leave Hawlucha no time to set up, and all of them healthy enough that so it doesn't hurt them nearly as much from neutral hits, apart from now Mandibuzz with the Stealth Rocks. So we go into Bulu to set up the grassy terrain. It's just another thing to kind of get just to have, trying to think of some sort of clever way to talk about it. But so Foul Play is revealed on Mandibuzz, which kind of confused me, because I was like, well, surely this is U-turn, taunt, defog, rest, but it's already shown Whirlwind. Where's Roost or defog? And so it didn't properly click in my mind until this turn what was going on and what had happened. As so it was it was this turn now. As so I decided to click Stealth Rocks here, I believe, because I thought that the Mandibuzz was going to defog them away. Whereas it goes for the Foul Play, and so we get quite heavily chunked there, which is really not ideal for Winterfell in the end game here, because actually it does quite well versus Willie's final 3 mons. So we switch now into Suicune, and so I'm kind of starting to realise what actually I've done, and so how to play about this final bit of the game, because this is something else which I need to learn, is actually how to properly close out a game. It's something which I've had issues with in the past, and this game really shows it. This shows all of my issues with it. As so we give Coco another free opportunity to switch in, which is not what we want to do. We go for the Toxic, which is nice on any 3 of the mons. On Coco, it is probably the one that I'm least concerned about, I believe. Out of the 3, I would have preferred it on Mandibuzz. But yeah, so we're just going to let Coco take this thing. Oh no, we don't. We switch into Bulu, don't we? Yeah, we switch into Bulu. But yeah, so this is when Coco goes for another defog, yes. And so at this point I'm like, right, let's hit the button, let's try and get Lucha to win here. But so this move is kind of like, it's another move where so I realise something isn't quite right, and so I need to reassess it and just be patient a little bit longer. Where I could have rounded out the game a lot earlier, because Coco reveals Brave Bird. And so this is a physical Coco. I mean, it's the Coco taking chip, which is nice, because now Hawlucha definitely just about. Yeah, it should KO with a high jump kick now. Yes, because Coco comes in now. But so the thing is that so I can't afford to set up here, because if it's Z, then I die, funnily enough, and all of my chances of actually winning the game go out the window. And so here is the other thing. Here is the other move. So I decided to switch. This is the move that loses me the game. And so I didn't even realise it until I watched back the replay. So this is the other thing which I'm kind of learning about. So my calcs, without properly actually using them, kind of just said, oh, Zard kills Hawlucha with a Flare Blitz. And the issue is that I hadn't accounted for the defense boost. It's just it was one of those moments where so under the slightly tighter time constraints of Wi-Fi, it leads for more kind of just just a couple minor errors, which mean that you go for a safer play. I say safer in brackets and stuff. Safer play. But so actually, I think that I would have won if I just clicked high jump kick here, because I was guaranteed to live one flare blitz at +1 defense, and I was 2-hit carrying Megazord X with high jump kick, and then between I think between Horlucha's damage output and Suicune and Winterfell, we could have won the game. But so the more you learn from each game, and so actually it has been a bit of a hard learning curve sometimes, where so you look back and you realise just how much you managed to screw up in a game, even when some things didn't go exactly your way. But so yeah, this is the thing, was so my play here was that I was trying to get as much flare blitz damage as possible onto the Zard, but so the grassy terrain didn't exactly help this cause. But yeah, so we then switch into Coon. Coon dies to a Dragon Claw, and so we're left with Horlucha, which now, because it's not a +1 defense, we definitely die to the Flare Blitz, and so my calc becomes true. So my only hope was the fact that high jump kick would crit or something like that. But so as you can see, it doesn't. Just full stop doesn't. But so we bring it down quite low, and so the Zard goes for Flare Blitz and actually manages to kill itself from its own recoil. So we lose only 1-0 versus Willy. GG to Willy, he played a really good game. All the way through, kind of like the opening moves with the Mandibels and the Snorlax, they had me all over the place. But yeah, so that was week 1 of ICBA. Week 2, we play Matt O'Shea of the Montreal Milotics. Let me just kind of say that without rolling everything into one. Montreal Milotics. I hope everybody has watched everybody else's ICBA vids, you know, all of that. Have a good week all. You'll see me quite soon in Crash Week 1 PR, which is going to be coming out shortly after this. But yeah, I hope you all have a fabulous week, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!